Hi guys, welcome back to the vintage series.
Oh my gosh, it has been a while since I filmed an episode for the vintage series. I started this series here on my channel about 6 months ago, I think. And I've done the 40s and I've done a couple looks for the 50s, and I thought, you know what? It's time to get into the 60s looks. So because I love the 1960s so much, and because so much happened in that decade, women's aesthetics were heavily influenced by what was going on. So I thought I would actually break up the 1960s into 4 different looks. So today I am doing a mid 1960s, kind of like mid 1965 kind of an era of a look. This is a combination of the mod look, and I've also included like big beehive buffy hair and the makeup look that was popular for this time in the 60s, which is a very doe-eyed eye look, and I kind of went for that twiggy eye look. It's not quite the twiggy eye look because I don't have the dramatic line through the eyes, but I do have the chunky lower lash line and that wash, that sheer pastel color on the lid with the pastel pink lip. But I think that this is also like a very wearable look. It doesn't look like a Halloween costume, and this is something that I would wear out for, like, if I could go out for dinner with my friends right now, or hey, I'm gonna go do my groceries a bit later, so we might rock it at Tesco looking like this. If you guys want to see how I transformed myself into this 1965 glam, then please keep watching. I'd have to say that the 1960s is definitely probably one of my favorite decades in history, and I just think it was such an exciting time in history. You know, there were so many big changes that were happening when you look at things like civil rights, women's rights, the sexual revolution. So much happened in the 1960s. It was a decade of great change amongst people's attitudes, politics, fashion, cars, and music. There is so much influence on fashion from this time in history, which I think is really, really exciting. For the first time, we see mini skirts being worn, and the mod look becomes a very dominant trend. The way fashion works for this decade was flipped on its head. In the past, we've seen that a designer designs a new look and then stores stock those items and customers buy the clothes. However, this was reversed in England in the 1960s. The designer of the decade that I'm going to name here, her name is Mary Quant, and she saw teenagers in Carnaby Street wearing short skirts, and she was clever enough to bank on the trend. Wearing a straight cut mini dress that looks almost like a child's outfit is definitely a reflection of how people were feeling during this time in history. Some say it was influenced by fear because of all the assassinations that happened and the Vietnam War that was going on. And so because people were scared like children and they wanted to retreat into a time in life where they felt safe, you know, that's what could be influencing the childlike fashion and like photography angles that we see a lot of in the mid 1960s. That's one opinion anyway. Either way you look at it, it's almost the complete opposite of the ideal look from the 1950s, which is when we saw the hourglass figure. But now in the 1960s, we see tall, skinny, shapeless silhouettes. The most iconic model from the mid 1960s is Twiggy. Twiggy was a British model from East London, and she was famous for her iconic makeup and hair. Totally different from Marilyn Monroe. Now that our hair is done, I'm loving how this turned out. We have got lots and lots of volume in the back. We've got a cute little headband, and we've got curled up ends. The mid 1960s hairstyles were all about the volume and lots of it. Lots of hairspray. I feel like the hairstyle is cute and it's definitely wearable. I have done my hair like this for work before, but I feel like now that my hair is a little bit longer, these curls don't really want to sit up on the shoulders like they did when I had a little bob. But anyway, they're cute as they are. Let's move on to makeup. I'm going to quickly go through the base makeup. For primer, I am using the Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. And then for foundation, I'm going to use my Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation in the shade 2W0, which I think means 2 warm olive. Face makeup, like foundation in the 1960s, looks very matte and it doesn't look very heavy. So we're just going to use a little bit of this. For concealer, I am going to use the Tarte Shape Tape, and I am in the shade 27H Light Medium Honey. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit. While I'm waiting for that concealer to kind of half set, I'm going to go in with my Chanel Cream Bronzer just to bronze up the face, because we want that 60s summertime glow. I've recently been using this trick where I leave the concealer to sit for a couple of minutes before I blend it out with a sponge, and I just find that it just gives much better coverage. And now, okay, so now I'm going to set my foundation and concealer with the Maybelline New York Lasting Fix Loose Setting Powder. So my latest trick is to dust the powder, into my hand like this and pick it up with a brush. So that Dior foundation is slightly more on the matte side, but I just want to have a nice powdery set face for this. And we don't want it to look too cakey, so that's why I'm just doing a very light dusting of powder. Perfect. All right, moving on to blush. I'm using the NARS blush in the shade Orgasm. This is like a really nice pinky, golden, glowy kind of blush. When I look at pictures of like Twiggy and like Sharon Tate, they always wore like a really nice, kind of like a corally pink kind of shade of blush, and it was always worn on the apples of the cheeks. So no like heavy contouring up here or anything. It was always just like here, and it's very, 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 very minimal, not much blush at all. So I'm just gonna do like a very light dusting of that blush all over the cheeks. Cute. Moving on to brows. Should I use my Dior pencil? This is nearly all gone. So moving on to brows, I'm going to use my Dior brow pencil. And brows in the 1960s were, how do I describe this? Kind of like a round shape, and we're going to see that reflected on the eye shape as well. So I'm going to do like a nice arched eyebrow. Now that our brows are done, let's move on to lip color. So the most popular lip colors in the like mid 1960s were definitely very pale, and so I have chosen a pale pink lipstick. This is by Maybelline in the shade 107 Fairly Bare. This is a bullet cream lipstick. Very 1960s. Now that our base makeup is all done, we're looking very, very cute. Let's move on to the eyes. In the mid 1960s, the focus for makeup was definitely on the eyes. If we compare it to the 1950s, it was all about having like a really nice lip color and like a winged eyeliner. But in the 1960s, eye makeup becomes very dramatic. Obviously, everyone is familiar with people like Twiggy and Cher and Sharon Tate. They were very, very famous for doing the dramatic single line through the lid. Some people used to paint rainbows on their eyes and like flowers on their face, and I feel like while that does look really, really cute, it doesn't suit everyone. Me personally, I don't suit having that liner through the lid just because my eye shape isn't the same as Twiggy's, and it isn't the same as Cher's or Sharon Tate's. They have very deep set eyes, whereas I have very hooded eyes. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. Another big trend for the 1960s was pastel, pale sheer eyeshadows. So at the moment, like if we look at 2021 and you know the last couple of years, eyeshadows have always been about like heavily pigmented formulas. You know, we all want like super pigmented eyeshadows, but back in the 1960s, eyeshadow wasn't really like that. It was more like a wash of a color on your eye. You just wanted it to be a little bit more subtle. I think out of all of the colors I've looked at, I think a pale pastel mint green is probably the cutest. So I thought what we could do is we could do a very sheer wash of a pastel green eyeshadow I have here from the Norvina palette across the lid, and then we will do the very dramatic 1960s eyeliner. So I'm just going to pick up some eyeshadow and we are just going to lightly dust that across the lid. Nothing too dramatic, nothing too crazy. Same thing on the other eye. So the eyeliner that we're going to be going to do today is very, very different from everything that we've been used to. And it's very, very different from everything that you've been used to with like 1950s looks, with the cat eye winged liner, and then even makeup that we do today. It's all about, you know, the cat eye look, or, you know, the foxy eye trend. It's all about, you know, lifting the eye up. But in the 60s, people loved to make their eyes look very, very doe-eyed, very childlike, very like innocent girl kind of looking. It was, instead of it being kind of like this, instead of the eye shape going on a slant upwards like this, it was very kind of like, if you think of the shape of a rainbow, that's the kind of eye shape that we're going to go for today. Okay, so now that we've laid down some really cute green shadow, I have got my Tom Ford eyeliner here, and I think that that is just going to give us the best result in terms of the eyeliner look that we want to achieve. Here's the point in which we take the eyeliner down. I don't want to take the eyeliner up into a cat eye winged liner. We want to take it down. So this is the 60s liner. I am going to go and do the same thing on the other eye. Another thing that I saw women do is they drew false lashes underneath the eye. So I actually have some false lashes to stick on. Another technique that I saw women doing was they would use mascara on the lower lash line and pinch the lashes together, and that lower lash line is meant to be like very, very spiky and dramatic. So I thought maybe what I could do is just add a few lines with the liner, and then I'll use the lashes underneath. I have a new mascara here. This is called the Bambi Eye False Lash. So, well, that mascara is absolute crap. Should we see if it's any better on the bottom lashes? Wow, that mascara is shite. So we've got small, medium and large, and I thought we would just use some of the smaller ones across the lower lash line just to get that like extra drama. And my best tip for using individual lashes is to actually paint the glue on the back of your hand and let it kind of half set, and then dip the point of the lashes into the glue, and then they're going to adhere to your lash line a bit better, because if you put lashes and wet glue on your eye, it's just going to slide around everywhere and it's really stressful. So you can see the difference that that makes. I'm just gonna wait for that glue to dry on the lashes, and then we can go in with some white eyeliner. Let's do the same on the other side. Okay, that was relatively stress-free. I'm surprised at how easy it was. I've got another set of lashes here which we're gonna put across the top. Now that our lashes are looking nice and fluttery and nice and pretty, we are going to go in with a soft kohl eyeliner pencil in pure white from Rimmel. We're just going to put this in the waterline of our eyes just to like really open up the eyes just that extra step more and to give them that doll eye effect. So when I'm adding liner in my waterline, I just push with my little finger here instead of dragging the eye down. Okay. Are we done? Is that the look? Oh, one more step. One thing I really have always wanted to try is faux freckles. So I thought, I've seen a lot of people use like quite a few different products in order to achieve the faux freckles look. Some people use like brow pomade and pencils and stuff like that, but I recently got this brow gel from Revolution, and I thought it would be cool to just kind of like put a few freckles across the nose and then just across here just to give it like another dimension. I've never done this before, so I'm thinking if we just do like a couple of spots. Yeah, that works cute. Maybe if we just do it directly on the finger. Does that look cute? Okay, I think this actually looks cute. I'm loving the hair. The volume has managed to hold up the time it took for me to do this makeup. I think we're really on point with how the makeup looks. It's nice and matte. We kind of have that summertime kissed glow with like the faux freckles and the cheeks. We've got the pastel pale eyes, we've got the doe-eyed liner, and we've got the chunky lower lashes, and the pale lips. I think we're ready to get our outfit on. Let's go upstairs and get dressed.